Happy Thursday and welcome back to the You Good podcast, the podcast where oversharing is encouraged and the thoughts get real. I'm Nick, joined as always by C Rod. Tonight is not the episode we planned to have. Yesterday, I lost a friend in a way I still don't know how to process. And when something like that happens, it's easy for the way that person died to become the entire story. I don't want that. She was a person, she was a friend, she was a mom. She was someone people loved and expected to have tomorrow with. So tonight we're going to talk about grief, anger, men's mental health, control, and accountability. Because pain matters, heartbreak matters, and asking for help matters. But none of that gives anyone the right to punish, intimidate, control, or destroy somebody else's life. Welcome to episode 60. You don't get to destroy someone else. Let's get into it.
No, I don't wanna live where I always feel broken. I just wanna live with a heart wide open. I don't ever wanna feel fear anymore. No.
And I appreciate you doing that, and I appreciate you just being here and being ready to kind of openly discuss something that we just recently found out happened, something that has shocked an entire community of ours, as well as a network of just friends and family that this person that we'll discuss meant to everybody. But I do want to say that as we kind of talk through the occurrences of what happened, we're not here to turn this into a true crime scene, right? We're not here to replay every detail of this story, but what we are here to do, because someone mattered and something horrible happened, there is a conversation that we're going to have around grief, around anger, around mental health, and around control and accountability that we as people, we as men, need to have. And at the end of the day, mental health is real, domestic violence is real, and it's very unfortunate to have a young life taken so soon because of these issues.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want the people to know about your friend, and just because this is so recent, you could probably find a name on Facebook or in the news channels, but out of respect, we're just not going to use names. We're going to talk about people and talk about ideas, but we're not going to use names specifically. So is there anything you want people to know about your friend before we talk about the
Yeah,
big conversation of the bigger picture?
she didn't know a stranger, but just a beautiful soul. Just how kind she was. That's the thing that I remember the most is just how kind of a person and the the rescuing of animals, the volunteering, the just showing her girls what it's like to serve your community and uh I keep saying it. I mean, the world got a little less bright today, and not a little, a lot. Uh, yeah, like I said, just kind of lit up the room type of person.
Yeah.
Um, but an absolute sweetheart and would do anything for her friends. And I'm sure we'll get into some of the stories
Yep.
as this goes on. But
And I went to school with her brother. She is a few years older than myself, so I did not know her directly, but because she picked up her brother from school sometimes, she did go to the same school. I believe she was a senior when we were a freshman, I believe.
it was '05, so I don't know what you were.
I was a freshman in '04.
Mhm.
Okay. So yeah, so she would have been graduated when I was a sophomore, but same, anytime her name came up around group of friends or at school or whatever, it was just about how nice of a person she was, how kind of a person she was. And I think ultimately, as we talk through this tragedy, that's what's going to stick out is her willingness to do things for other people and put that first and pay it forward without ever you know, putting herself first, and I think that really shows in the story of what happened. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
do do you want to give a high level overview of what happened in this the scenario and what happened in the story?
Yeah, that way people who don't know can
Yeah,
have context throughout the episode. So, and this is all from what we've read in the reports that have been given as of, the the recording of this episode.
yeah,
So there might be some more things that come out, but the gist of it we know. So her and her daughters were out at the beach, and they came home. Her ex-boyfriend was there waiting for her. He started an argument over property, I believe a television and maybe some other things. Um, they were arguing. She tried to call 911. He rips the phone out of her hands. She then tells her girls to run inside and call 911. And according to the report, um, even the sheriff said listening to the call, she can be heard saying, "Get inside and save yourselves." And
mm.
um,
And her children
sh-
are, I believe, 9 and 12.
yeah, yeah, still preteens,
Yeah,
both girls. And she's presumably held at gunpoint and forced into a car. That's later found out that the car is rented, so it screams premeditation, but we're not cops or anything, so we're not here to speculate. Um, she gets in the car. That's the last time she's seen. When the car is found, they use drones and they found both her and the guy deceased, and he was a cop. I don't know if that's relevant to this. I think it's more domestic violence than anything else, just being an ex. I don't think it's anything like an infatuation or anything like that. It's just ex did something very, very terrible. And
yeah,
I'm very thankful that the girls weren't hurt or harmed physically, but they will probably never recover from this. And that's one of the most tragic parts. Not that there isn't a ton of tragic parts in all of this,
yeah, yeah. No,
but
and
yeah.
that's, I mean, I'll take it from here, and that's kind of where my heart goes too, right? The person comes first, but as a parent, my heart breaks for these two young daughters who have lost their mother. I believe that I read that their biological father, you know, he's still around. He's
Mhm.
not a part of that relationship, so they'll be with him. But to lose your mother at such a young age, to watch her be taken, you know, to be told to go inside and call the cops and save your life is just not anything a 9 and 12-year-old should ever have to do. But I mean, I do have to say that she must have raised those kids so well that both of them were of the mindset to go and do that and to call the cops. I mean, I don't know if my kids would be able to do that in that position. You know, the strength that takes speaks volumes about how she raised them.
Not just to be able to tell them, but give them very, very important details on the
Yeah,
individual who did it and all of that. And I, it is a testament to how she's been raising those girls. I mean, those girls are from afar
yeah,
amazing individuals, from what she posts and boasts about them.
yeah,
Um, very similar kind-hearted individuals to herself. Um, and I'm thankful for that. We got, there's 2 more, but
yeah. I
still
think
very, very sad.
I mean, the thing to sit with first while we walk through this is the anger. I mean, this is going to be sad. The sadness is not going to change as more details come out and more days go past. You know, the sadness will still be there. But I think the first thing that we sit with is anger. And that's what I read across social media. You know, everybody is furious that this shining star, this angel, this bright light was taken so early, taken by somebody who was acting out, whether it was intimidation or wanting to hurt somebody else. We don't know, but it's not just shock. It's knowing that somebody chose, they made a decision to destroy a life, whatever the basis of it might be, whether it's property or their past relationship. Again, we don't know. I don't know. But I think what we just need to be honest about is what is strength and what is not. And that's what I want people to think about, because I want you to think about the difference of being hurt and making someone else pay for your hurt, because those are not the same things. And I think that that's what we experienced in this situation. Does that make sense?
Yes, I agree. I also think a big part of it is at a certain point didn't she was no longer a person in his eyes. She was an object to be owned, and I think that was that that's she wasn't human anymore, in his eyes. It was I need this. It's obsession, not love. That isn't love.
I think we have all been through heartbreak of a relationship ending. I know that I have been through some bad relationships, but I don't think my mind has ever gone to some form of intimidation, right? Or taking that rejection and that humiliation and balling it up into anger and needing to find some sort of outlet to, compensate that anger. Where does your mind go when you just, you think about this situation of a relationship ended and it was so heartbreaking to an individual that they were able to go to these depths?
It's hard to fathom that. I've been hurt, I've been broken. I thought my world was crumbling, but at the same time, it's my thought wasn't, "Oh, I need to show up on this person's doorstep and harm them, or even fight with them, or even show up there and start anything." It's I need to make this right, and even if that is leaving this person alone forever, I need to do that, and it
Yeah.
it might not be the thing I want, and, honestly, I don't know if I had that, young early on in my life. I don't know if I had the emotional intelligence to defer the between rejection and humiliation. Um, I think I like to think I did now. I think that I'm very secure in myself to where if I were, God forbid, to lose my current relationship, while it would suck,
Yeah.
I you've been there, right? You've been through this, so it's like, I'll be okay. I don't want it to happen, but I'll be okay. Might take a year, but I'll be okay, and it's hard. Again, I don't wanna speculate, with what this individual was feeling, but, it all points to, you know, uh, obsession rather than love.
Well, I think too that there's a mental health aspect behind it, obviously. They can report all I want that it was over televisions or property. We can probably guess that it wasn't. That could have been a base
You don't
part.
show up on someone's house in a rental car
Yeah.
trying to get a TV if you
Yeah.
own a truck.
So,
Like, that's not a thing.
right.
So,
What I look at and what I think about is just two things. You mentioned that this man was a police officer in Pinellas and Hillsborough, wherever it is, Pasco County, and there's something about people being in power, right? And there's something about wearing that uniform and holding that badge, and we see it all the time where people abuse that power, or we see people that were bullied in elementary and middle school and high school go on to be law officers, so that way they can, now, oh, you bullied me back in the day, well, I'm laying down the law, right? And I think that there is some strength in that, some intimidation factor of I have that power. And then when you take that mental health aspect of it and then go to the rejection side of it, I know that there are a lot of egotistical males that when a relationship ends, the way they normalize it, the way they think about it is I this woman, this girl cannot upstage me. Like they don't break up with me. I
Mhm.
break up with them. Like this is not over. And that is another egotistical mental health
Yeah.
aspect of control. And
Mhm.
when you mix that badge and that intimidation, and when you mix something like rejection, humiliation, egotistical maniac, that's when these two things collide. And I truly believe that we probably saw what happens when those things collide.
Yeah, I think it also, uh I don't know the exact stat, but I know that domestic violence cases amongst police officers are absorbently high, is across any other profession. And I
Yeah.
like I want to look up the actual statistic. This is when I wish we had a producer. But I know it's high, so it's like what can we do to correct that, right? Like how do we protect these women? Let's call it what it is. And most of the time is these women are getting beat up by these power hungry police officers or
Yeah.
and not all cops are bad or psychopaths, but
Well, and
psychopaths become
question,
cops.
the percent 20 to 40%.
20 to 40% of all police officers are in domestic violence case.
20,
That's
20 to
a high
40%
number.
police officer families experience domestic violence, in
Yeah.
contrast to 10% of general pop or non
So
law
20 to
enforcement.
40 compared to 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absorbently high in a profession. So I would probably be looking into that and asking why that is, why these individuals think that they're above the law. There's no doubt in my mind that like if the girls weren't there, this I'm really trying not to get real angry and curse, but I with him renting the car and all that, I feel that he was gonna try to get away with it, and I don't think he thought the girls were there. And, I think that is what ultimately led to him taking his own life. But renting a car, yes, it's very easy to trace and all that, but I think the way it all happened and all that, it was on the fly, and,
Yeah.
I think he had every intention of going back to work today. So, fuck that dude. I hope they don't. So I'm just tired of seeing his face on Facebook. Every time I open it up, all the news outlets and everything are this this decorated like he's a monster. So like why doesn't anybody know her name? You
Mm.
know? And that's what's as much as I want to out of respect for the family, we just can't. I just it's
Yeah. And struggling with mental health does not give you permission to destroy someone else's life. And we have talked about this before on the Dustin Poirier episode, where if your status in life, him being a cop, right, and just it doesn't matter what it is or who you are or how dark things get. Like taking it out on somebody else is just it's crazy to me. Like there's nothing
it's
strong
not
about
crazy.
making someone afraid of you.
No, you're a coward. I
Yeah.
mean, you're a weak individual. If your only power is I can only intimidate somebody, that's not strength, man. That isn't that isn't power. Intimidating someone isn't power. And it dude, it just all day today. I've just been angry, upset, mad that this situation could even happen, but it's also how do you prevent it? You know, and I don't have
Yeah.
I don't know. Um but as an individual being broken, like, that's not how that's not how you get someone back you apparently care about. Showing up on their doorstep, scaring them, you're terrifying them, that's a good way to make sure you never are part of their life again,
Yeah.
you know? Like, it's making a sit talk about making situations worse, showing up on a doorstep unannounced to someone who doesn't wanna see you, it's
Well,
probably not a smart idea.
you ask a question too when you said, how do we stop something like this? And even though we don't want to talk about him, I think the thing to think about is from the other side of things, like, did any of his friends know about this obsession? Did any I'm sure that there were people that knew about the things in their circle that were going on between her and her ex, and
I'm
him and
sure.
her. And then you wonder, is there anybody out there that maybe wasn't listening, that maybe he had said something or put notions out there and people just, oh, you're going through a hard time, you're going through a breakup. Or same thing with her friends. Maybe I don't know if she ever said that she was scared or in danger of her life before this instance. I can't imagine this is the first time it happened, but that's the only way we could really understand on how to stop something like this, is understanding their personal life and getting
Right, and
a part of that
right,
relationship and
and
knowing them on a daily
we're not
basis.
there, we're not behind closed doors, but at the
Yeah.
same time, we can speak on, like, no one deserves to lose life over a situation,
Yeah.
any situation, but especially something as dumb as a TV. Like, how much are TVs?
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
not
I would have bought you TV, homie, like,
it's not about the TV.
it
Just like
was never about the I
Xbox
know, but that's
or
the
whatever
same
about the
I
Xbox.
look, I know it wasn't about the TV.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that. It's about a man, a 47-year-old man child who wasn't secure in his own person, that lost an amazing individual, knew he lost an amazing individual, and couldn't live with himself anymore for losing that person. And I
Yeah.
I don't know what it takes to bring yourself to do that to somebody else. Because when I was in that mindset, all I wanted to do was hurt myself. So, I can't speak on the mentality of someone who wants to hurt other people because that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to hurt myself for the pain I caused others. And
Yeah.
so it's again narcissist, maybe. It's again, she became an object at a certain point. It wasn't it was I need to possess you, and if I can't, then no
Let me
one.
let me ask you this. In a world where we men, boys are grown and raised by, their fathers, to they're told to be strong and they're told to not look weak and they're told to, you know, man up and step up and be the next thing up. Are we only teaching them are we only teaching boys and men how to be strong and not teaching them, or I guess, let me rephrase that question. Are we teaching them how to be strong, or are we teaching them how to not look weak?
Oh, ooh, it's probably the latter. If that's the mentality, if you're raising them to suck it up, rub dirt on it, like how we were. I don't have a boy, so it's hard to be like I would raise him the same way. I know I wouldn't raise him the same way I was because I didn't raise Sam the same way I was.
Yeah, right.
Like I never struck Sam. Like I never. I mean threats all the time, but
Yeah,
I never had to actually do it.
right.
But I had the respect. I don't know what would have happened if I didn't have the respect, so I mean, I would imagine I would have had to follow through with my threats in order to get the respect, but I never, you know what I'm saying? So man, I think our generation has a hard time regulating their emotional intelligence. And what I mean is every single one of us knows anger, but not every single one of us knows why.
Yeah,
Like, why are you feeling angry? That's such a base level emotion, so you have to get deeper than anger. But we're not taught that. We're just taught to use that. Use that anger, funnel it into something else, and it's like, well, that
Yes.
maybe isn't the most constructive way to use that. Let's figure out why we're angry first.
Yeah.
Like, and then when maybe we harness it from there rather than, oh, I just need to be angry, and it's like, no, that's probably not the best way.
And that's kind of the essence of the question that I just asked, because you hit it on the head where we say, oh, you're angry, channel that aggression and go do X, Y, and Z. And now we're starting to um armor this anger, and we're starting to make it a weapon to go out there and,
Mhm.
and be better. And I think that that's where the notion of making a male feel weak, thus in return, they become obsessive and controlling to dominate the situation.
I think that's a big part of it too. No one else can you feel how you feel. You make yourself feel how you make yourself feel.
Hmm.
So I think we need to do better when we're raising our children, men and women, boys and girls. I think we need to do better in that aspect. Like just being more in tune with one's feelings rather than harnessing anger. It's like, no, why are you feeling angry? Like, let's get to the baseline of all these things. Um, I
Call
thought you.
calling this wrong, right, does not mean that we stop asking bigger questions, and that's where I think we go from this mental health to this pain to talking about what happens before someone reaches that breaking point. My question to you then is, why do we feel that men are more comfortable saying that they're pissed off or mad instead of saying that they're hurt? Because one thing that I know, that back in the day I tried to push everything off, right? If there was ever a heartbreak or I felt rejected or humiliated in front of people, it was like, okay, bury that deep down and let's get back after it. Put a smile on your face and let's move on, and let's make the best of the next day, the next opportunity. Let's move forward. Where now later in life, and I'm talking high school, college, a lot of
Yeah,
those years, we've talked before about how I stayed out of relationships in college because it was just, you know, focus on myself and be, um, what's the word I'm looking
C
for? Be
Rod,
selfish, be selfish.
C
Uh,
Rod.
but as I get older, and because we're doing a podcast like this where we're talking about feelings and where we're saying to talk through things, I just I am okay now telling people why it hurts me or why it makes me feel a certain way, instead of just saying, "Oh, I'm mad, I'm pissed." And Callie and I demonstrate this in our relationship all the time, where it's okay, let's sit down and not just say I'm mad, but let's talk about why, and let's talk about the feelings, and let's get there. Why are men in today's world still not okay with that emotion?
I think it's
Especially
just
younger
I
men.
think it's just
I know.
feeling weak. I think it's feeling vulnerable. I think n- uh, it's not natural to feel to do those things and feel that way, but I think that it's the only way you grow. Facing these things head on uh, is the only way you grow. I mean, I like I said, I don't think I was given the tools growing up to be emotionally secure, right? And I think that that has a lot to do with men and women as we're growing up. Like teaching children how to regulate emotions is, I think, big as a big part of it. Uh, but I also don't think that when we were growing up, they knew about like a lot. You know what I mean? I think the advances in medicine, technology, and all that from when we were children to now has gone tenfold. Like so. I I think us as parents, I think we're more informed. I think I don't I've seen gentle parenting. I've seen how we were raised. I would like to think that there's there's a solutions somewhere in the middle, but it's an individual basis. I mean, sometimes, you know, kids need a kick in the ass, and sometimes they need to be understood, and and sometimes they don't know what's going on because they're children. So, and I think if you're not emotionally intelligent, your kids aren't going to be emotionally intelligent. And so I think it's a slippery slope. And then, it took me a long time to realize like yelling isn't normal. Like I'm very animated. I get loud, I get passionate, and I get told all the time I'm yelling. I'm like, I'm not yelling. But then it's like, oh, maybe I am. I'm loud, but I'm
Just
not
oh,
yelling. And I'm
right.
like, when I but and growing up, I'm not saying I was yelled at or stuff, but yelling was happening, right? So
House with a bunch
like
of boys. It's gonna happen.
right. So
Yeah.
yelling, bless my mom's heart. I'm not knocking any of it, but I was raised in a yelling house.
Yep.
It was yelling was happening.
A loud house. A loud house.
And so but it took me, going to college, being around other people's families, seeing other people, and I'm like, oh, yelling ain't normal. Like, and then finding out why do we yell? It's like, oh, it's you don't feel understood. So, and you're not smart enough to figure out how to tell people how you're feeling, and you got to yell and be louder than the next person. And it's like, well, that's not true. I feel I'm intelligent enough to get my point across. So let's maybe not yell. I still yell. Don't get me wrong. I still get pissed off. I still yell, but it's a lot less. It's a lot less, but it's being aware, and I think that's a lot of it. I think we need to make sure we're giving our kids the tools to be aware of
Yep.
what's going on with their feelings, their emotions, those things, because if they're not in adulthood, it's a hard fucking lesson to learn in your 20s. It's not fucking fun.
There's even something to think about further than that, where you can. I think the most frustrating thing about mental health is that you can have all of the help in the world, but unfortunately, there's some times where that mental health won't be discussed until a crisis happens because people don't realize how easy it is to slip back to somewhere. And I mean, I kind of think back to some of the times where maybe I went through a relationship and a breakup where I started obsessing, right? But my obsession is what we call uh internet stalking, right? I guess
Huh.
that's what we call it back in the day, where you break up with somebody and now all of a sudden you're all over their socials trying to see what they're doing, who they're with, looking at that story, and it's just so goddamn unhealthy that the basis is make it like they never existed, right? Defriend them on all social media. That way you never see them again. Delete them from your phone so that way you're not tempted to text them. But that's as far as a slippery slope that I've ever got to. And one of the things that I just hate the most is having these conversations where it's like we have to discuss mental health and talk about this more, but it's only really when a crisis happens, because if the crisis doesn't happen, we're like, oh, that person's doing great. They're seeking help. They're getting better. And in a split second, anything can change.
Yeah. Look, I've had I've had an ex that was not fond of me, was not didn't want to be around me and all that. And so I understand the fear. And I'm just a big dude, so it's like I didn't know I was scary, yelling or screaming. Like I'm like when I was made aware of it, it was like, oh shit, that's not what I'm trying to do. So I made sure to do what they wanted. You don't want me around you, I won't be around you. Won't be on
Yeah.
Facebook. You're blocked on everything. I'm doing what you want, but and I probably was obsessed with this person, but also like I said, I can't imagine hurting. any more than I already have. Because clearly
Right.
I've hurt you. If you don't want me to be around you, you don't want any of this,
Yep.
cool. I get it. And then move on. But if you're not a if I mean, I could if you're not a if you're mentally weak, I could see how you can go the other route. You're like, "Oh, you get angry." I mean, I have every reason to hate this person, and I don't. I don't have I don't this person tried to ruin my life, lies, making up stuff, but at the end of the day, it's like you were scared, and that's okay. Like, you didn't have any right to be scared, but for whatever reason you were. So, I'm good. Have a good life. Enjoy. Then they come out of the woodwork, start texting you, and you're like, we haven't had a positive interaction in 3 years. Why are you talking to me?"
Yeah.
And be that blunt. But again, I don't know, 10 years ago, if I'm able to do that, I might be like, "Oh, thank God you're talking to me again." Oh, and I'm like, but that's what I'm talking about, being mentally strong enough to where you're good no matter what. And it took me 30 years to figure that out. And I'm like, if I, the grace of God, have another kid and it's a boy, they're sure as shit before they leave my house are going to be one of the most emotionally secure individuals I've ever met, because they're just going to be set up for success in life, because so many people aren't, men and women. It just so many people aren't in tune with how they feel. They just rather yell or scream, and it's just like, well, what's really going on? But you
Well,
don't want to
in
get into
today's
that.
world, they're coddled until they're kicked out to pasture. And then they're out there at 21, 22, 23, 24 years old, not knowing what the hell is going on in life
Yeah,
and
I mean, like
spiraling
I
and
said,
slipping.
I mean, coddling. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I've never coddled, so.
Well, I mean, that was a lot to unpack. We talked about a tragedy. We talked about a couple of different aspects of that tragedy. Was there anything that we didn't cover just from, a standpoint of the story itself that you wanted to talk through anymore?
Um, no, no, I don't want to give him any more airtime than we already have. I would probably like to share some stories of just about how the type of person she was,
Yeah.
and some that I found out today through the multiple Facebook posts. I know that she was a friend of me when I was going through my rough time. Just reaching out on some of my posts. And we've interacted a lot. I think the last time I talked to her about 4 months ago, I think she had posted something. I commented, and we had a little conversation back and forth, but nothing crazy. But uh, there was a kid in high school that got picked on a lot. Really into Star Wars, like hardcore Star Wars. Was called Star Wars Kid, and a lot of the times people were picking on him. A lot of the times people generally liked being around him. It was a 50-50 shot if he was getting made fun of, or if the people that were hanging around him generally were just there to make him feel good.
What you have to understand, though, because I know who you're talking to, is this kid would walk around the school and use fake lightsabers, right? And he
Yeah.
would try and interact and play with
Yeah.
people.
No, that's what me personally, I would duel. I would if I'd be like, "You wanna go? Let's go." And, just interact with him, and
Un-
yeah,
Unfortunately, in high school, there were only two options. You either made fun of him and thought there was
right,
something wrong with him, or you enjoyed what he was bringing and you interacted with him, whether you interacted to be Star Wars or you interacted just to be nice with him. And,
right.
that's the frame, the framework of
He's
not just
also
Star
a
Wars.
cousin of one of my good friends, so it's
Yeah.
it I like it was never the making fun of, it's, "Hey, man, I've known you forever." So, uh, but he's wrote a few stories about how kind she was to him. He lost his yearbook senior year. She helped him find it, and a lot of the time, this kid caught a lot of shit pretty much every day, and he wrote a story about how she defended him, and she was in choir, so there's a bunch of people talking about all the choir stories, and uh, one of my friends, our friends, his wife posted about how Mandy was the reason why she started telling her friends she loved them, and that's one thing Mandy would do is unapologetically, um, just herself, and really trying not to name names is very fucking hard.
You're doing
Eh,
just fine.
and,
It's fun.
no, it's just this whole situation's been tough, man, and, the amount of stories that keep coming out, it's just like, yeah, we knew she was an angel on earth, and, every story that comes out is pretty much hammering that home.
What was
Uh
the energy like when she would come into a room? I see so many comments and posts just about how she was always the strongest person in the room and
Just a
she
light,
was the
like,
most
it
connected person.
the best example be someone like Star Wars, like, someone who's not necessarily get has the people having conversations with them, and genuinely asking them how they are. She would go and find the person that nobody's talking to and make sure they were seen. Nobody was a stranger, when she was around, and
Oh,
like, I mean, I'm talking rescuing any and all animals. It didn't matter what it was. I mean, she ended up having a big old compound just so she can keep rescuing farm
really?
animals and stuff. Yeah, she
That's
has a
funny.
cow, and I mean, she she had to put a donkey down because it attacked one of her kids, but she had a donkey. I mean, like,
Oh wow.
yeah, no,
Wow.
it's not. I'm not kidding when I said, like, the
Yeah,
world got a lot less bright today,
I see that.
but heaven definitely did. Heaven
You know,
heaven
you
definitely got a lot brighter.
you called me this morning to tell me about it and just you needed somebody to talk to that potentially knew who this person was. And as soon as we got off the phone, my day started. I was on social media. Nothing was really popping up. But then lunchtime comes around, and now all of a sudden I'm on Facebook on like, I don't know what it's called, the For You page or the Explore page or whatever Facebook wants to call it, but just of people I don't even know, add friend, follow here, groups, military groups and veterans groups and things like that, mental health groups, all posting about her and posting about this story. To come to find out that she was on the Pasco side of town, even though she was from the
Mhm.
west coast of Florida, in our hometown of Deltona and the surrounding area. But this story in just 24 hours has taken on a life of its own. And I think what happens is when people pass in a tragic way, we often focus on what happened to them. But what I love about this is it's more about all of these people making sure that we know that this person does not get lost inside the tragedy. And the way that she passed is not erasing the way that she lived. And I can only feel that this network and this support system that she's built and had will only get stronger as kind of her legacy goes forward.
No, it's yeah, her legacy's not gonna go anywhere. It's, her friends, family, they're already making sure, everyone knows who this person was rather than the person who took her from us.
Yeah. Her children deserve to grow hearing about who her mother was and not only about what happened to her. I mean, they were there, they witnessed it, but just as they get older, being able to know more about how strong she was and how honored she was around the community itself.
And not and how I just hope those girls know how proud she was to be their mom.
Yeah. And I saw some of her tattoos where she had taken their handwriting and tattooed mama and different things it looks like that her kids had written on her.
Yeah. No,
I you know
she lived for those 2 little girls, man, and, I just I I hope they never forget that.
Yeah. What part of her life deserves to be remembered the most outside of her kids?
Um, man, just how bright of a light she was, how ambitious she was, a real, I mean, real go-getter.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, sorry, man.
Don't be. It's been a hard day. It's a hard story. It's a hard discussion to have. I mean, I don't want to keep dragging you through it and having you go down the depths of it, but I just want to make sure that you've discussed and talked about everything that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think when I called you this morning, because we take turns, with the episodes and making what we talk about, and um because of everything going on in our lives, I was had every intention of making it more of a lighthearted episode,
Yeah,
but when I found all this out, I just felt that, we needed to talk about it, and I appreciate your openness and willingness to discuss it. Um,
of course.
but it wasn't I didn't go into it with a set plan or anything of how to wrap it all up. It just was one of those, like, I needed to make sure got it out there, and hopefully in the next, coming weeks and whatnot, like, we can honor her in a better way, as well. But with it being so new, uh,
Yeah.
it's really tough. But I'm sure we'll share the GoFundMes and all that, along the way. So
Anything helps, anything that we can do. Her family is definitely in our thoughts. The community is in our thoughts, but I feel like this is the right place to kind of slow things down. The hurt is real, the anger is real, her life was real, and ultimately, we want to celebrate her life instead of mourning her tragedy, and everything that she's brought into the community. I think deserves to be remembered too. So, unless you have any last words that you want to say, I'm gonna hand it over to you for final words and sign off.
no, I appreciate that. I just I want everyone that knows her to keep praying for her children, and her family. And like I said, we'll share the GoFundMes and everything, on our socials, once we have them. Obviously, we're not starting them. We'll let someone else organize them, but we have no problem sharing. But before we get out of here, I do want to say one more thing. If you're a man listening to this and you're hurting, just please tell somebody. If you're angry, tell somebody. If you're jealous, embarrassed, rejected, uh, depressed, whatever it is, talk to somebody. Uh, there's no shame in telling someone I'm not doing it okay. I'm not handling it okay. I'm struggling. And if someone tells you they do not want to be with you anymore, you don't own them. Uh, you don't get to punish them. You don't get to destroy their life because yours did not go the way you wanted. You walk away. You hurt. You cry. You bitch. You moan. You get help, but eventually it gets better. You rebuild, uh, but you don't react in a way, to harm you or someone else. It's not your right. No one has that right. Um, I and if anything, more than anything, I want you to remember my friend for the life she lived, not simply for the way it had ended. Um, if any part of today's episode hit home, share it with a friend. Tag us on CrodsPod on Instagram. Follow us on TikTok at CrodsPod, and help us keep this conversation going. We drop new episodes every Thursday. If you've got a story, a topic, or you just need to vent, email us at crodspod@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. Our safe space is your outlet for anyone grieving, for anyone angry, for anyone not okay today, and for anyone who needs to hear that asking for help is strength. This one is for you. Keep showing up. It matters more than you know. And we'll catch you next Thursday.
Catch you next Thursday.